History often remembers kings as warriors, rulers, or visionaries, but few have embraced all these roles as fervently as Charles XII of Sweden, better known as Carolus Rex. His reign was a blend of ambition, divine belief, and relentless pursuit of glory on the battlefield. Today, we uncover the story of this remarkable monarch whose life and legacy remain etched in the annals of history. Charles XII ascended to the throne of Sweden in 1697, a mere 15 years old. It was a time when Sweden stood as one of Europe's great powers, its empire stretching across the Baltic. The young king was not just handed power, he seized it, determined to rule with an iron will. Charles believed deeply in the divine right of kings, the idea that his authority was granted by God himself. From his earliest days as king, Charles adopted a Spartan lifestyle. He abstained from indulgences, instead focusing on military training, religion, and governance. But his youth and inexperience would soon be tested when Sweden's enemy formed an alliance against him. In 1700, the Great Northern War erupted. Sweden faced a coalition of Denmark, Norway, Russia, and Poland-Lithuania. Despite being outnumbered and surrounded, Charles launched a series of audacious campaigns that demonstrated his brilliance as a military strategist. At the Battle of Narva, Charles led his outnumbered forces to a stunning victory against Peter the Great's Russian army. It was a triumph that solidified his reputation as a warrior king. But this victory was just the beginning of a war that would define his reign. Charles pursued his enemies relentlessly, refusing to yield. He invaded Poland, dethroning its king, and marched into Russia, seeking to crush Peter the Great. However, his ambition would lead to his downfall. In 1709, at the Battle of Poltava, the tide turned. Charles's army was defeated by the Russians, forcing him to flee to the Ottoman Empire. The Swedish Empire's dominance began to wane, but Charles refused to give up. For years, he continued to fight, leading his troops personally in grueling campaigns. In 1718, during a campaign in Norway, Charles XII met his end. While inspecting the trenches at the fortress of Frederiksted, he was struck by a projectile. To this day, the exact circumstances of his death remain a mystery. Was it an enemy bullet, or was he assassinated by his own men? Charles XII's death marked the end of an era. The Swedish Empire would never again reach the heights it had under his rule, but his legacy endured, immortalized in songs, stories, and history books. Sabaton's Carolus Rex captures the essence of this enigmatic king, his ambition, his faith, and his relentless pursuit of glory. Charles XII was a man of contradictions, a devout believer who waged endless wars, a warrior king who lived simply yet ruled absolutely. Thank you for joining me in exploring the life and legacy of Carolus Rex. His story reminds us of the complex interplay between power, faith, and ambition that shapes history. Until next time, remember, the past is not just history. It's a mirror reflecting the choices of humanity.